All right. Good evening, guys. Ken at Tortoise Capital, Nightly Strategy Podcast, October 20th, 2021. So let's take a look at the market health check. So we've got this nice move developing. It started with a P1 back here 30 days ago, the harsh sell-off down to the next P1 in the bottom of the RL10. Essentially two big legs down. So there's one, there's two, there's one little intermediate bounce. This has been one, maybe this is a leg one and then it goes a bit sideways and then fails to fill. Now we got that leg up and now we're testing, we're closing the triangle or completing the cup. And that makes the test of this previous all-time high really important. You naturally want to have, if this takes off and breaks today's high, you want to have a couple positions long and going. Fair value is back here at the Z3 line at 460. So that's following this line up the whole way, steady. And you'll notice that the RL90 is had rolled over and has come down and flattened out. Now it's starting to slope back upward too. So that's a good sign. So you got the RL270 is strong, the 90 is strong, the 30 extension is just as strong as it can be. And then the RL10, of course, you can see price is just crushing it. So everything looks good to go. So the RL10 is clear. We're clearly in the summer. So I want you to notice the seasons: fall, winter. Here's where it crosses the baby dragon. Here's where it enters the dragon, crosses the spine, leaves the dragon, also turns to spring, and there's your PSAR flip. So what I want you to notice is the importance of that PSAR as a support level. So if you take the RLXD entry, right at the PSAR here, and you use the PSAR as the stop, you're in great shape. And now if you're using the PSAR dot, you're still not in the, you're not even above water yet, right? So when we have that kind of a strong move up, in terms of exit management, you have a hard stop here at the start, right below the PSAR. But then our next issue is, when do you get to no lose plus dinner for two, which is like right about here. So when would you make this move? So you might make it like right here, or by the time it moves up to here, you could move to no lose plus dinner for two. And then that's what your path would look like. Now you might just you might then say, look, I like when it reversed, maybe move to here, and now here, and now here, like a 1 bar low. You might be using the edge of the dragon as your moving stop, or the spine of the dragon, or the lower skin of the dragon. Any one of those gives you a nice way to continue to work your way up the stack. So if I was using the skin of the dragon, I would be like right here. To me, that's still giving back too much. So in this case, with that kind of a move, as it's approaching, as it's getting close to this resistance level, I want to make the best out of this move that I can. So I want to lock in, and I'm going to use a 1 bar low. And then any break of that, I'm out, and then I'm back in if it breaks out above that green line right there. So for me, my yellow zone for tomorrow, the indecision time is basically a 1 bar risk or 1 bar of uncertainty. So I'm looking at something like this here. Which means I'm looking for getting long here. If I'm not out of the position, I'm just adding a second position there. I would be ready to go short if it breaks below that 1 bar low on a tactical trade only, by which I mean intraday. I wouldn't hold the swing position on that, I think, until it gets back below the edge of the river at 447, and that's where I would pick up the swing. Okay. So other than that, everything's looking really good. Let me know in chat if that helped. All right, so let's take a look at our top 6 indexes now. So we've got the S&P was up 0.39. Diamonds 0.44. The Russell up 0.66. That was the best performer. That's good for the broad U.S. markets to have the top 3 to be our primes. Emerging markets were basically flat at 0.02. The Qs were down a fraction at 0.13, and Treasuries off 0.68, close at 142.73. Let's take a look at the things that outperformed. All right, so moonshots, and then consumer discretionary, Brazil, finance, materials, and energy. So that's a pretty good looking broad-based lineup right there. You had Brazil, finance, materials, energy, the 2 lumbers at 1.1, cut and wood, so to speak. Then you have blended commodities, 1.11, oil, 1.22, oil, exploration, commercial real estate, blockchain, 2.13. So I've added the Bitcoin futures ETF that just started trading, BITO. And we'll be comparing that against the Bitcoin Trust, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. That's kind of like a new pair trade. And then finally, the other crypto trusts from Grayscale, Ethereum, and the large cap blended commodities. So I wanted to raise money out of my crypto components here to buy some of the BITO. So I sold half of my GDLC today, just before it made this move. So, I mean, it was up a good amount for the day, but it was, at the time it was lagging even Ethereum a little bit. So I got out of that just in time to miss that last afternoon run up. So there we are, trading up. All right. So let's see, the individual companies that did very well today. Cliff Natural Resources, 3%. I'm expecting to see something great from Luke on that one, his favorite trading device. Coinbase, 3%. Some more metals. There's TX and X, US Steel. Virgin Galactic, Devon Energy, 1.5, another one of our favorite traders. So I'm expecting some nice things from the boys. Underperformers. So the S&P was up 0.4. Now we've got, so Mexico, 0.38. Agriculture, 0.31. Marijuana and lithium, 0.2. Clean energy and consumer discretionary, basically flat. Wheat and precious metals, that's our proxy for the precious metals, 0.17. S&P Tech is 0.28. The FANGs, 0.33. S&P Biotech, minus 0.34. ARC Innovation, 0.75. The VIX, 0.9. That actually bodes well for some more gains tomorrow in the equities. ARC Genomics, 0.93. And then some individual targets. PayPal in the crypto, actually financial disruptors, minus 5%. Alcoa, minus 2%, a great intraday trader again. Microsoft down 0.25. Tesla still above 850 with a 0.18. Musk, the $1 trillion man. So everything's looking good there. Quite a good variety for the upside tomorrow. I'm really eager to see which one of these is going to be the follow through for tomorrow. You know, is it the finance sector, materials, or energy? And we've got proxies for each one of those. So I'm looking for like Devon Energy, if that's working, any of the metals, and probably US Steel or Cliff. And then in finance, either like Goldman or JP Morgan, but really I like FAS just to get the whole broad sector in the triple lever there. All right, let's take a look at what the guys got today. Some good crosstalk once more among the fellows. Here's Boeing. See who this was. Nigel, then Jamie, then Luke. All right, so Nigel on Boeing. All right, so here's something we want to. I really am enjoying the way that the four seasons of MACD, and he's marking off the changing of the seasons, and then here's the the close, and then the open of the day, the initial sell off. That makes this an obvious one here, where you got your risk box closed in a pinch. And I want you to notice that the size of that box, when it on the previous day, we think of that as the noise box. So that's the width from Z3 to Z3. when there's no signal. So when the thing is just grinding sideways, that's how much space it takes up, if you will. That's just the noise. So tomorrow, I can carry that forward with a minimum manageable risk box, MMRB. So now when you take a look at the size of the risk that he's actually taken, that's pretty good. And there's your PSAR flip. There's your harsh winter sell-off. Notice how he's got he's color coded the dragon. I think this is from our friends at the R Factory. That's Jeff and Sonal. A couple great traders, students of ours for 10 or 12 years. Great programmer, makes beautiful charts, can really help with if you're, I think it's Trading Views is what they use. He's also a great programmer for TradeStation and TC2000 as well. Very analytical. So I think they're using that color code on the dragon, which I think is pretty clever. I like the orange myself, but that's pretty attractive looking chart there. So importantly, gets the turn in the dragon. Remember, that's always going to lag the turn in the RL10 a little bit. Perfect entry. That little, I think of that like as an elbow, and when it crosses that little inside space or like a little cove, that's beautiful. Now what I'm looking for is, can it get through this noise box? And it gets to the noise box nicely. If this gets you out, that's got to get you back in. That's a place to add a second position. Why? Because it's north of the VWAP. It has cleared this resistance, and it's resolved the tension of this peak valley, and it crossed right again. That's a good second position, or a re-entry. So if that got you out, that should get you back in. By the same token, this is another, that's like a third position. And if that got you out, legitimately, you might have taken that as a sniper and said, there's leg one and there's leg two, so I want to preserve here. I'm not offended by that. That's a sniper exit. That's got to get you back in for the same reason that gets you back in. And it's above that Z3 pinch and has really cleared this resistance. So all this is going to be free and clear. And yep, interesting candidate. Why? Because it was 5DD, NMAX pain, and the #1 MPRC, and tested well in the auto framer. And he wanted to see if there was an opportunity to get long before the auto framer kicked in, which is, remember, so the auto framer is, it's taken a look at, it was like a 5DD. So we set that up and you draw a stop and an entry. So you get this mechanical entry here. And so what this did was sold off a little bit and then reversed and took off. So he's actually getting the dip entering here. And now by the time that gets through the previous day's high, you can actually add a second position there, and then off it goes. Now, if you're just swing trading one day at a time, that's your mechanical entry. So this is, I think of this as sort of the turbo edition then. If you're looking to get a better entry early, that's good. Especially when you come down and say, here's my mechanical exit right here. When it comes down and finds support right there, you end up getting a really tiny minimum manageable risk box inside there, right? And that's good. And now when you get your entry, you have a very small risk. And that gives you 1, even 2 execution are before you even get to the mechanical entry, which is when you want to automatically be long. So that's great. Here's a nice managerial exit. Now, if we track the Bollinger Band main, that's as nice as it gets. Resisted a real urge to get short here because you have a high, a lower high, and then somewhere in here, you've got the crossing of the dragon. And then your target would be down here at the Bollinger Band mean. And that's a legitimate reward against like a risk of that much. And that would have actually paid off somewhere in here. But really nice work. Really nice work. Lots to study on that one. Not the least of which is looking for low risk core and turbo. Beautiful. Nothing wrong with that. How many days a week do you want to do that? All of them, coach. So now let's take a look at those turning points. When this goes from fall to winter, this is where it turns to summer boys. So getting it in the spring allows you a little earlier. And now summer, fall, summer. Ooh. Fall, summer. Oh. Summer, fall, summer is an automatic go. Winter turning to spring. Get ready. You can go there. You can go here, but go. That's the one. It's cleared this. Go, boys. You know, that chart is a workshop in itself. All right, so now we're looking at let's see here. Mexico, Frog Champion, pinch box. Here's the open. I guess, or maybe this is a bit later in the day, sorry. Yep, oh yeah, there's the open. Runs up, pulls back, beauty. He takes a tighter stop, like it. That's the earliest you could think of a second position, but when you're that close, I'd rather just put 2 scoops right on that. So that's a little too soon. Even if you did this though, you know, new HOD high of the day. So that's right there. You could think of that. And pretty much a 1, 2, 3 exit and a P-star flip kind of exit. Gets it at the spine of the dragon. That's how you do that. Then it comes down, holds at the VWAP, gets the 1, 2, 3 and the RLXD perfect. It scratches. There wasn't that much to get at maximum value, but doesn't let it go. Missed the trade below the VWAP. You are correct. Now notice he's got the trading view technique where when you're getting an abnormally tight pinch, it's turning the regular red of the Z3 lines to that yellow, kind of like be ready. And then that gives you this break of the RLXD for the exit. And then, a break of the VWAP is always important. And then a rejection of the VWAP is always important. That's a beautiful entry. This one, it's the same trade. You make money on that one. You make money on this one. There's 1.5. And there's 3. So that's 4.5. And that's how you do that. Love that Mexico. Perfect frog champion intraday. And it swings like a champ too. If that's not on your list, I just don't know why. Here's Luke. Let's see if he makes an old fat man happy here. Yes. Here was the gap open. So he waits for the breakout. It immediately rolls over, takes a good exit, minus 0.9. Beautiful re-entry. I think you could be here instead of all the way down here, which would make that instead of 3.5, because you're using half the risk box, that would make that 7. Just saying. Very nice. So he has leg 1, 2, and holds, and then starts taking off again. And as soon as it makes a new high, he's on it. Beautiful. Here's bar 1, bar 2, bar 3. The perfect 1, 2, 3 exit would be here. That's not bad. You know, if you take a look at that, the size of that give back on 2 positions is like a full R. You know, when you compare the size of that wrist box down here to your wrist box, that was a full R, actually 2R, because you're giving back a full R on 1, 2 scoops. So although it was 3.5, the maximum favorable excursion was probably 5.5. Be a little more ruthless on that. Reasonable effort, great stop and reverse. Good job. You got what was there. You got the reentry. You got a fraction. Beautiful on the Z3 pinch. Short, second position. So that didn't follow through, but legitimately you were looking for a test of the VWAP. Now, if it had actually come down here and then broken through, this is where you could put the third position. Then if that thing breaks, you're looking for that to return all the way back to here. So I love that. I love those 2 scoops. And then what I like is you got paid 1.4 on the first one, and the second one was a fractional, but you were postured for massive gains. And we know that CLF will do that. It's looking to me like the 2 minutes are working pretty good for you. You can just, Luke is coming up on 1,000 trades. He's developing the skill, but is he studying his work? We think so. Those are all reasonable efforts. Just wasn't much in it. You're getting paid to learn. And you were postured for the big win. And you'd have gotten a big payoff here in the same way that you got a big payoff there. But I think we want to get more out of that than 3.5. Look good, though. Nice work. I mean, honestly, guys, you guys are crushing it. All right, daily. Bullish volatile, we're back in business. Risk Z is telling us the truth. There's the swing. There was the maximum uncertainty. So this follow-on move looks just like that one. When you have those bottom outs, spring into the summer on the MACD. Now my concern is this: we are very close. As we're close to that previous all-time high, we're going to find out how much is actually left. Lots of dojis today. These ones that are OR shorts, these are the ones that had been lagging the most and have had a good run up. But if the market is weak, that'd be the first place that you look for weakness to develop. That's what that the OR short does. Overreaction short. Good number of auto framers. Disney, it's a doji and it's 6.9 to 1. McDonald's channeling overreaction 2.1 and a big percent loser today. That could be clearing the deck and be ready to go. Just two dojis today. No auto framers, not unusual since we're that close to the top. Finance breaking out. Real estate breaking out. The defensive plays like treasuries, Japan, lagging today. Just a handful in the auto framer. And that's not unusual when we're that close to the 10-day high. But Disney really stands out to me. Disney and SPY on the pinch. There's DIA. So there's still a lot more room to the upside. If it just breaks above that, it's within a fraction of that all-time high. That's going to watch that thing rock. If it breaks north of that, be ready for that. Things so much better now. Spring and summer, leaving the fall behind. Springing ahead. Microsoft crushing it. It's easy when it's easy. All the greens telling you. Treasuries, when the defensive plays are getting smoked. That's the anomaly right there, McDonald's. Doesn't every hedge fund and every mutual fund in the world have to own that thing? It sure does. So if you're a value player, how do you not love that? And how do you not love Goldman with a short-term sell-off as finance is getting ready to rock? So there's a value play just waiting to happen inside there. The master opportunist, the coyote. It looks like a big smile. Support, and that's the doji we talked about. Instead of failing further, it resumed. There's the turning point that we talked about ad nauseum. Go back 5 or 6 days and listen to our discussion of exactly that turning point. There's just nothing better that I've ever found. Same turning point. Volatility declining. All good for the long side. The RL90 slope is turning. The RL30 turned. The RL10 is at a peak. That's the only thing that is concerning me, is that the news is so good that it's good. But again, if it breaks above that all-time high, how do you not think that there's a relief rally? Look at all the other previous breakouts from highs there. Here, there was always still some short-term bumps. So there was a bump. There was a bump. There was a bump. That was a big move. So that's the test. What's it going to do when it, in retrospect, it's breaking out above that? Is it this? Or is it this back to the bottom of the river? We shall see. All right, there we are. We'll get this published and posted. Thanks for your kind attention, guys.